In 2003, a banker sent an email about wallpaper that was very sad. That email changed the history of TV. Kevin O'Connor used to make six figures at Bank of America and now hosts the most trusted home show in America. He made $7 million, got nominated for Emmys, and built a business. But something has been going on. He won't even say Bob Va's name. He speaks out against HGTV shows. Cast members are leaving the show. Strange reports are now going around about his future. Kevin is ready to tell the truth after months of rumors. Even his biggest fans will be shocked by what he says. Kevin O'Connor's story doesn't start on TV. It starts in the middle of a building site. He was born in Maplewood, New Jersey in 1968 or 1969 into a house that never felt finished. Kevin grew up with sawdust and scaffolds all around him. He has 4 brothers and 2 sisters. Because his dad was a construction engineer, their house was often used as a work site. The kids didn't ride bikes or play tag. Instead, they passed around hammers and helped pour concrete. Kevin knew how to measure wood, hang drywall, and read plans before he even went to early childhood school. He was learning how to make a door while other kids were learning their times tables. It was crazy and loud, but that was normal for him. He learned more than just how to build things there. It helped him understand how buildings worked on a gut level. In the end, that instinct would set him apart from every other home improvement TV host. Things went wrong for him when he was 19. Kevin started passing out suddenly while he was training to be a soldier. He would just fall down over and over. A heart problem was found after tests by the doctors. It wasn't just a small problem. It made people really wonder if he could even stay in the service. But this is where things get weird. All of his medical records from that time have been lost since that diagnosis. Gone. No one could say the reason. In old age, that lost piece of paper would give him trouble, especially when he tried to find out about his health history. The event changed the course of his life. He lost any hopes he had about joining the military and was left with uncertainty and the need for a backup plan. He had to rethink everything, like what kind of job he could have with a heart problem that wasn't on the records anymore. So he turned to school. From 1986 to 1987, he went to St. Benedict's Preparatory School in Newark and finished. That's just what Kevin needed, a tough, discipline-based school. After that, he went to the College of the Holy Cross to study history. In 1990, he finished. History may not seem like a natural subject for someone who would host a construction show, but it gave him important skills like how to do research, how to connect ideas, and how to make things clear. He wasn't done yet, though. He went back to school and in 1999 got an MBA from Boston University. That made high-level business jobs possible. He wasn't just book smart by the time he finished school. He was sure of himself enough to be in boardrooms and do well. Kevin did not only get a job, he jumped right into a fast-tracked career in banking. He first worked at Fleet Bank in their group that deals with sports banking. This wasn't a dull job in a desk. He helped pay for stadiums and other big sports centers. He wasn't just adding up numbers. He was building the places where people from cities got together. Top executives were impressed by his ability to think effectively. This opened the door to a bigger chance, business real estate. He quickly moved up at Bank of America after joining. Kevin was a senior vice president by the time he was in his early 30s. He was in charge of million-dollar investments. He had a good job with a good pay, bonuses, and stock options. He had everything that comes with a high-level job. That's a lot of money for him. It looked great from the outside. Then he shocked everyone. Kevin O'Connor gave up. He quit his job as a banker, gave up a big title, and got paid more than most people can dream of. Why? He never forgot the sound of tools, the smell of sawdust, or the way a well-built wall feels when you touch it. Kathy O'Connor and Kevin O'Connor bought a lovely Queen Anne Victorian home in Beverly, Massachusetts in 2003. It looked like a dream when it was built in 1894, but that dream fell apart quickly after they moved in. Everything was needed for the house. There are new bathrooms, kitchens, and even bedrooms. It was the background that really scared me. It wasn't just old. Painting was added on top of each other over and over again. There were a lot of bad design choices in every room. Kevin and Kathleen scraped those walls for months. Victorian houses often had rounded corners, which made things even more difficult. The wallpaper wouldn't come down. Afterward, Kevin said, "We were scraping like crazy, and this stuff just wasn't coming off." Kathleen was in charge of the patching, while Kevin tore down walls and ceilings to make the kitchen bigger. It was late, they were angry, and they were stuck. In a desperate moment, they sent an email to the cast of the show they had grown up watching, This Old House. There was a new show being made at the same time, but they didn't know about it. It was called Ask This Old House. It could not have been better timing. Kevin said in the email that getting rid of that image had to be possible in a sneaky way. He didn't expect anything, just a cry for help. The crew replied, and they didn't just give tips. They said they would come to Kevin's house and film a piece. Kevin was very happy. He thought this was just a one-time visit from his builder's heroes. He didn't know it, though, but this visit was about more than just painting walls. It was a test that was kept hidden. Episode 22 of Season 1 of Ask This Old House was filmed by the team. It aired on March 6, 2003. Everyone on the set was interested in Kevin. His questions never stopped, not even during lunch. Tom Silva, who worked on the show, hardly had time to eat. Kevin later made fun of it by saying that he kept calling Tom during breaks. But the makers paid close attention. They saw more than just a person who was upset. On TV, they saw someone who was real. That person would feel like a host if they asked the same questions that people at home were asking. Kevin even ran out to take a picture with the group after the shoot. Taking a shot to remember the moment, he told them he'd never see them again. But after 3 weeks, something strange happened. Kevin even got a call at work. He was a senior vice president in Bank of America's business real estate group at the time. He thought it was someone asking for a loan when the phone rang, but it wasn't. The people who make This Old House asked him to be the host of the show. Not just the spin-off, but also the main show. He believed it was a joke. Being sure he'd be back at the bank in a year, he even asked his boss to keep his job open. That's how fake it seemed. It was real, though. These people didn't just want him. They were willing to put the whole show's future on him. That was a big deal because This Old House had already been through 2 big changes. Bob Vila was the first. He was the show's first host in 1979 and made it famous all over the world. At first, though, VA only made $200 per show. He was only making $800 a show even in his last few seasons. He made somewhere between $47,000 and $188,000 over 10 years and 235 shows. That's less than what many contractors make in a single year. When VA started running ads for Rickle Home Centers, things got really bad. At the same time, Home Depot and Weyerhaeuser were sponsoring the show. He was okay with PBS, but the station later changed its mind. They told him to pick between the show and the deal worth $500,000. VA picked the cash. He was fired right away. He learned about it from a news story. Steve Thomas then came along. He was a host for 14 years and won an Emmy in 1998. He did not show up on TV again until 2003, when he was 50 years old. There was no goodbye episode or big news. There was only a vague word that they wanted to ski and sail. Insiders thought it was strange. He helped make This Old House the most popular show in its genre. But all of a sudden, he was working on smaller D-Way network shows. People were left confused. The producers were scared. There would be a lot of pressure on the next person, but the person they chose had never worked in TV before. Kevin OConnor never tried out. He never sent in an application. He didn't ask for the job. He got it, though. There were more than 400 people who were considered to replace Thomas. Then they stopped looking after one shoot with Kevin. Kevin and Russell Morash, who created the show, were sitting in beach chairs in the basement when Kevin got the offer. There was no formality to it at all. The show's boss, Morash, had hired him for a very good reason since 1979. Kevin is the perfect mix of optimism and energy. He said, "2 things an old house owner must have to stay alive." When Kevin OConnor moved into This Old House in 2003, he wasn't greeted with a handshake or small talk. Richard Trethoy, the show's straight-forward plumbing and heating expert, just gave him a shovel. Kevin, who used to be a senior vice president at Bank of America, found himself making holes for sewer lines out of the blue. This wasn't a TV show. It was real work that was very hard. There were no cameras there and no short cuts. Richard was putting him to the test. Kevin, was he there to look the part or to earn it? Every bump and sweat drop taught me something. Kevin said that the most important thing he learned was that rule. Do not talk, but listen and let the professionals lead. His whole career would be shaped by that hard lesson, and Richard wasn't the only one who was rough with him. Tom Silva, who is the show's master builder, also threw him right in. Kevin wasn't asked to act like he had a saw. He told him to use real wood for real builds because he knew the cams would catch every mistake. Tom wasn't interested in TV hosts who looked good, not just someone who could talk about the skill, but also someone who could learn it. Kevin trained for hours away from the camera to learn how to hold tools, measure accurately, and work safely without slowing down the team. He wasn't just turning into a host. He was joining the group. And people could see it. They saw him battle, learn, and get better, just like they did in their own backyards and sheds. Then there was a surprise that nobody saw coming. Kevin was up for an Emmy in 2004, just 1 year after making the show. Great service from the show host. He still hadn't found his flow, but the business world saw something. Some people were shocked by the nomination because they thought a finance guy shouldn't be running a tech show. It took years for Bob Vila and Steve Thomas to become well known. Kevin did it in just 1 season. Things like his interest, his honesty, and the way he talked to experts were important. That Emmy nod was proof of that. He did more than just host. He changed how people watched TV shows about house improvement. During those first years, Kevin changed in some way. He understood that he didn't like being on the side and asking questions. What he loved most was getting his hands on a hammer, putting bricks, and working hard with the crew. That made everything different. Instead of being a teacher for the watchers, Kevin became one of them. He turned talks into working together. The experts didn't just answer his questions, they also taught him. They were teaching millions of people at the same time. This hands-on style not only helped people relate to Kevin better, it also made the show seem more real, which is what kept people watching. Ask This Old House had the same sense of realism. Since its start in 2002, the show has been meant to feel like a magazine piece. It got much bigger when Kevin joined, though. He wasn't just a guest at the house. He went to real homes, fixed real problems, and got his hands dirty. The way he got the job was what made this crazy. He was caught while taking down wallpaper in his own house. He had never watched TV before and needed help with a project. Kevin had been the star of the show for more than 20 years by 2025. He not only ran the show, but he also joined the editing board of This Old House, where he helped decide what stories would be shown and written. From banking to building franchises, he went from having almost no money to having a lot of it. Kevin wasn't done yet, though. Yes, he started a 3rd show called Inside This Old House the same year he became host of This Old House. It showed what went on behind the scenes of some of the most famous events in the show's history. He worked at Bank of America and did all 3 shows at the same time, which is crazy. He didn't quit his job until he was sure he could do this for a living. Being so careful made his success stand out even more. He wasn't after fame. He was making something that would last. Inside This Old House, viewers learned about the past of the franchise and got to know Kevin better through his work on other homes. In 2010, he did something that no other Old House host had ever done. He jumped to talk show TV. Kevin went from public radio to television without missing a beat when he got this new house on the D-Way network. Amy Matthews and I hosted a show about smart home technology and new ways to build. It was a risk. It worked with a new group and a new format. 2 Emmys were nominated for the show, and Kevin showed that he could be a leader in both PBS and business. He was chosen by the network because he could explain hard things in simple terms. He became one of the most trusted names in the business because he was credible on TV and learned a lot in real life. Then came his biggest project for himself, writing a book. Kevin released the book, The Best Homes from This Old House, in 2011. It has over 200 pictures of the most amazing changes that have happened on the show over the years. It was unique because it was so personal. He made it with Mike Casey, a friend from college who took the pictures. Two friends, an idea, and a best-selling book. Fans got to see inside finished homes and hear stories from behind the scenes for the first time. It was more than just blocks of glass and walls. It had to do with people, families, art, and beauty. Kevin became a member of the editorial board for This Old House magazine after the book sold a lot of copies. His voice now formed the brand on TV, in books, in print, and online. Kevin O'Connor didn't mean to make a storm. The world of home improvement was turned upside down by one conversation, though. When asked about D-Way shows today, he didn't hold back. He told most of them they were stupid, not just dull or lazy, but useless in every way. He said that some of them weren't interesting to him at all. That one line spread through the business world like wildfire. People were shocked. Some guests were very angry. There was more than one person talking. The face of This Old House was the most well-known name in home improvement TV. Kevin didn't give up. Instead, he stepped up. He said that these shows were misleading people because they showed makeovers that were too good to be true, costs that didn't make sense, and unrealistic deadlines. People at home were trying to copy these changes but failing, not because they weren't smart, but because the shows were fake. He said, "That made me angry." Some people in the know praised his honesty. Some people thought he was cocky and trying to control who could teach home improvement. But Kevin wasn't just mad. In the sand, he was making a line between fun and learning. On the one hand, networks like HGTV turned home improvement shows into reality shows. The other was PBS, which Kevin was proud of because it taught real skills. He named it the War of Ideas. He said that television shows made people waste more, fast, flip a house, make it look nice, and sell it for money. He did, however, want to draw attention to the real workmanship that goes into building a house. He even said that these shows with lots of lights were bad for you. People thought they could gut their kitchen in one weekend and do it right. And having that view could hurt people in real ways. Soon, HGTV stars began to fight back. People said Kevin didn't get their point across. They weren't putting up churches. They gave regular people hope that they could make things better at home. Kevin didn't move as the gap got bigger. Strangers were more interested in what Kevin didn't say. Who built this old house in 1979? It was Bob Vila, who left in a cloud in 1989. Kevin never once talked about him. Bob was getting paid $500,000 a year to host a show that was paid for by public television. It became a scandal when he backed a shop that competed with Home Depot, which had backed the show. He had to leave. Still, Kevin didn't say anything. Nothing has been said in more than 20 years. No praise, no criticism, nothing. Insiders believe that the silence is on purpose, a smart move. VA is still a big deal when it comes to fix-up homes. Bringing up the past could make things worse. Kevin has always planned ahead, not getting into fights that won't help him. He kept friends with people on both sides of the business, even when things got rough. There is one place, though, where Kevin won't be quiet: skill at work. If you say something bad about how houses were built 100 years ago, he will correct you. He says the old builders were smart. They were smart about what they did with what they had. It was cheap to get coal. There was no fiberglass protection. Don't even think about power tools. Some homes did not have insulation, but that made sense in those days. Kevin says that modern builders laugh at these choices without really knowing what they mean. He also doesn't like the tiny house trend. A lot of people say that smaller is better, but Kevin says that being big doesn't always mean being inefficient. He says that a new 5,000 square foot house can use less energy than a 1,000 square foot house from 15 years ago that wasn't made well. That got him into fights with people who study sustainability, but he doesn't care. Before they judge, he wants people to understand. There is a man who has done very well for himself behind all of these ideas. Kevin makes about $10,000 a show for This Old House and Ask This Old House. As of 2022, that's more than $380 worth of shows seen. A lot of money just from TV. Bob Vila, on the other hand, started out making only $200 per show and ended up making $800 $200 at most. That's more than 12 times Kevin's rate. Every season, VA made about $5 to $100. In terms of money today, that's about $15,000, but Kevin did that in just 2 shows. His net worth is thought to be between $5 million and $7. $68 million right now. But TV isn't the only way to make money. Kevin is now a big name in the speaking world. He makes between $15,000 and $50,000 for each speech. He doesn't just talk about hammers when he gets there. He gives whole businesses new life. There was a big gardening trade show in Kentucky in 2024 called Equip Exposition. He was the main speaker there. His talk was mostly about the future of contracting tools and how to keep up with changes in the business world. The talks aren't just about money. They have to do with power. They help him get in touch with builders, makers, and business leaders. He's not just a host anymore. He is an expert. That wide reach makes it possible for businesses to work together, spend, and make strategic deals. That's where Kevin's past life comes in. Before he got into TV, he knew a lot about real estate business. He was a vice president at Fleet Bank and Bank of America, where he set up loans worth millions of euros for companies and professional sports teams. They told him things about the show that most TV hosts don't know. He knows when to put his money wisely. He knows how to make things work. He also knows how to make money. He has carefully put $1 million into Bridge Stocks, which is the company where he is CEO. Those things bring him about $5 million a year. He also didn't buy his family a fancy new house. He bought a Queen Anne Victorian home in Hamilton, Massachusetts, that was built in 1894. It's more than a house. It makes a statement, is a showpiece, and fits with his brand and beliefs. Kevin O'Connor didn't just take over a show. He made a mark on history, and he somehow kept it going during some of its worst times. The hardest part came in October 2022. The soul of this old house, Norm Abram, left it. He had been there since the first show in 1979. That's 43 years of sawdust, sweat, and the best workmanship in the world. He was more than just a builder. Norm became the show's star after Bob Va left. Norm described the hard parts, led the projects, and even filled in for Kevin when he had to take a break for years. It felt like Kevin's soul was taken away when Norm died, just like it did when Kevin's son was born. Kevin didn't freak out, though. He carefully planned the change. He made sure that people didn't get confused. He slowly added new people to the show while still keeping Norm's spirit alive. In the same way, Roger Cook had to leave because of health issues in 2020. Roger joined in 1982, and for almost 40 years he was the quiet landscaper who made every yard calm and knowledgeable. His absence might have left a hole, but Kevin was careful about how he dealt with it. He slowly added Jen Nada, making sure that the show still felt like this old house, and not like a new start. How Kevin dealt with these changes was very smart. He respected the past without getting stuck in it. He didn't just change people, he passed the torch with care, which kept the show's personality. Kevin didn't stop when the group changed, though. There were also changes in how people watched TV, which he knew. He changed the way the show was put together without taking away from what made it special. When Bob Va was on, there would be one long take, sometimes 12 minutes, where he would walk through a site and describe everything. In Kevin's early days, they would shoot scenes that were 4 to 6 minutes long without cutting them. But people's attention spans are shorter these days. Kevin made changes. The pictures taken now only last seconds, not minutes. It has faster, sharper, and tighter segments. The show never got dull, though. He also changed the questions he asked. At first, he played the interested homeowner who asked, "What is this?" As time went on, he asked more in-depth questions. How does this work? Why is this done this way? With his more than 20 years of experience, he was able to get more useful replies for the viewers without changing the tone to be less educational. Kevin also kept the slow, focused pace of the show. Other home shows rush through 5 jobs in one episode, but this old house only does 2 full renovations each season. That's it. But each step is shown and each problem is talked about. It's not just about the wow, it's still about how. That's what fans love about it. Kevin was also ready for the digital age that followed. He started the show Clear Story in October 2019 to talk about the stories behind home systems. It wasn't just fluff. It was smart, interesting, and in-depth. The talk covered a lot of ground, from how Windows work to why Las Vegas might know how to make water bills go down. People really liked the show. It got 8 out of 5 stars on Apple and was in the top 1% of all podcasts that were watched. This old house did something brave in 2021. It worked with Roku. You can now watch for free all 500 episodes of both This Old House and Ask This Old House. They even have a station that streams all the time. Fans can watch whenever they want on any device without a cable. Kevin didn't end there. He helped start This Old Toolbox, a site where people can rent tools for do-it-yourself projects. It wasn't just a business move. It was the next step toward a clear goal, tying the teaching parts of the show directly to the tools people need to do their jobs. Kevin O'Connor does host a home improvement show, but what he really does is keep a tradition alive, bring an old format up to date, grow into new platforms, and connect media, education, and real-life action.